Hi, thank you for joining me. My name is Karen from Rustic Home and I'm based in Brisbane, Australia. I have an online shop selling all the products I use in my tutorials. I have this drawer from an old cabinet and I'm going to spruce it up a bit to use in my shop. I've already painted the drawer with Fusion's Victorian lace on the inside and I'm going to add a bit of decoupage paper. This paper is from Roycycled Treasures and it's called Vintage Wallpaper. I'm going to cut it to size to fit into the bottom of the drawer and use Pentart's Ultra Matte Decoupage glue as my medium to glue down the paper. I'm going to carefully add the glue in the corners to make sure I do not get it on the sides because I don't want my paper to get stuck on the sides. I'm laying down my first line of decoupage glue and then I'll be ready to lay down the edge of the decoupage paper and work my way from one side to the other. So I've laid down the edge and I will add the glue and paper as I go along, smoothing it out with scrunched up plastic wrap until the entire paper is completely glued down to the bottom of the drawer. The paper is completely down now and I'm going to add a layer of the decoupage glue on top to seal the paper. I'm adding a casting to one side of the drawer using IOD's Air Dry Clay. I could have also used resin since it's a flat surface. I've dusted the mold with cornstarch to help with the release of the casting and to make sure it doesn't stick to the mold. I'm just turning the mold upside down to release the casting, and I'm going to use Pentart's Express glue to glue all three molds or castings into place, and I will leave it a while to dry before I apply the paint. I'm happy with the position. I've glued it down, and now I'm going to add 4 wooden doorknobs on the bottom to create a rise, and I'm going to use Pentart's Express glue to apply to the corners of the drawer. I'm now painting the bottom of the drawer, including the knobs, with 2 coats of Fusion's Victorian lace for full coverage. I've left the castings to dry completely, and I'm now ready to add some paint to it to match the rest of the drawer. The paint is completely dry, and I'm going to add some of the decoupage paper that I used on the inside to the sides of the drawer. I'm using a water pen to wet the paper where I want to tear it so that I don't have harsh straight edges. I'm only using small pieces in random places for more rustic effect, and I'm using the same process to glue it down with a decoupage medium. I'm going to use some paint on the edges of the decoupage paper to blend it in some more. And I'll also be using some Saltwash mixed with the Fusion's Victorian lace to add a bit of texture to the drawer. I'm just mixing some Saltwash with Fusion mineral paint into a medium consistency. I'm just using a paintbrush to stipple it on in different places and around the edges of the drawer. The Saltwash paint is dry and I'm using a sanding pad to remove the high edges. I'm going to seal the paint first with Fusion's Tough Coat before I add the Fusion's Aging Wax to have more control on how dark I want the wax to be. The sealer is dry and I can add the wax now, so I'm using a brush to apply it and wiping it back with a paper towel. The aging wax is looking really good on the casting because it sits in the crevices, creating some beautiful contrast, so I'm really happy with that. I'm also adding the wax to the edges of the drawer and the little riser feet of the drawer as well. I'm adding these beautiful ornate handles to the side of the drawers. It's painted white with a silver finish. I'm highlighting the casting with some Pentart silver wax on the high points only to match the handles I added. The drawer has grooves inside and I'm using a craft knife to cut the paper and adding some sealer to push down the paper into the grooves. I'm now adding the aging wax to the insides of the drawer too. I thought I was done with the drawer but decided to add some transfers too, so I had to wait for the aging wax to completely dry. I waited about 2 weeks before I added the transfers, and I cut out some flowers and labels from IOD transfer pads and added to the sides of the drawer. I'm so happy with how it turned out, and I really like the aged look of the drawer. All the products I use today are available online at rusticriverhome.com.au, and it's listed in the description below. I hope you liked this video. Please leave a comment or give me a thumbs up, and thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to follow me for more DIY projects, and then I'll see you next time.